In this video, we're going to be sketching the parabola just using the effects of each and every variable. Ne? Perfect. Before we start, I'm going to discuss what does each variable do on the graph, ne? Both in the basic and in the turning point form. Right. Remember, in the basic form, you have y equals to ax squared plus bx plus c. Ne? This is your standard form or the basic form, right? Sure. So let's see what does this coefficient do. Ne? Perfect. So a tells us the shape. Ne? It tells us the shape. Ne? Sure. If a is greater than 0, then your graph is facing up. Ne? If a is positive, right? If a is less than 0, meaning negative, it means your graph is facing down. So a tells you the shape of the parabola, how it's facing. Okay, good. And then let's talk about b now. B tells us where the graph is going to be turning. Ne? Sharp. If b is positive, ne? If b is positive, then our graph is going to turn on the left. Ne? It's opposite. So if it's positive, we're turning on the left. So our turning point is going to be on the left. Ne? If b is negative, then our TP will be on the right. Don't forget, b x opposite. If it's positive, then we're turning on the left. If it's negative, then we're turning on the right. And then C is the y-intercept, ne? Y-intercept. So it's on the y-axis, basically, right? If it's positive, we're going to be above the x-axis. If it's negative, we're going to be below the x-axis. And those are the effects of A, B, and C, right? Now we're going to discuss question A, B, and C because they are all in basic form, okay? They are all in basic form. Perfect. So now, let's check. They say we must sketch this graph. If A is positive, remember A is greater than 0 means positive. Remember I said if it's positive, it means the graph is facing up. So I know that my graph is facing up, right? And then I know that my turning point is going to be on which side. If it's positive, remember B is greater than 0 means positive. So TP will be on the left. Remember we said it's always opposite. Ne? And then C is negative, which means our y-intercept is below, right? Below y-int, right? Because it's negative. So I'm going to do this. So you always start with C. Ne? C is less than 0. So on the y-axis, you're going to come anywhere. Ne? You show a dot there to show that that is your C, right? Perfect. And then we said the turning point is going to be where? The turning point is going to be on the left. Ne? So if we here, this is the left, right? This is the right. This is the left, that is the right. So our turning point is going to be here. If the graph was facing down, we're going to have something like that, you see? But because we're facing up, I know that we have to pass through there and then come here and then go there. So I'm going to put my turning point just below there, right? And then I know we're facing up. So you are going there. And then you also go in there. And that's your answer for A. Now let's do B. So on B, they say A is negative. So I know I'm facing down. They say B is equals to 0. Ladies and gents, if B is equals to 0, it means the turning point is neither on the left or on the right. Ne? It just means it's going to be exactly on C. So your B is exactly on C in this case. Ne? It's exactly where C is because it's neither on the left or on the right. So it has to be exactly on this line here. Sharp. And then C is positive. So if C is positive means above, right? So your y-intercept will be above. So I know that I'm above for the y-intercept. Remember, always start with C. And then the graph is also going to turn there and we're going down, right? So your graph will look something like this in this case. That's how your parabola is going to look. Right. And that's it for A and B. Now let's go to C, right? Okay. Perfect. So now let's go to C. Okay, I'll just erase this part and part. Oh, no, not that part. Sharp. And then let's do this. I just need to remove this part. Okay. And this part, sharp. That part, sharp. And then I'll just try to join again here, like that. Then like that, right? So here we're gonna have C. Then here we're gonna have D. So this is C and that's D now, ne? Sharp. Okay, let's look at C. Ne? I'm going to erase this just to create space there. Awesome. So on C, A is negative. So I know I'm facing up. I mean down. I'm facing down. I'm facing down because A is negative. So I know here I'm facing down because my A is negative. B is negative. I know that turning point will be on the right. Remember, it's always opposite. So turning point will be on the right, right? Perfect. Good. And then now, let's look at this. B squared minus 4AC, ladies and gents, tells me the nature of the roots. If you haven't watched the videos on the nature of the roots, please go watch them. You will understand this part. So B squared minus 4AC just tells us how our x-intercepts are going to be. Remember, if this part is less than 0, so it's negative, it means this. Remember, in the quadratic formula, you have B squared minus 4AC inside here, right? Right? Which means you're basically going to have a negative number inside. You see? So like -1, for example, because of this part means you're going to have a negative. But this is not true. You cannot have a square root of a negative number. So what it basically tells you, it means you are not going to touch the x-intercept. So no x-intercept. That's what it's telling you there. So you're not going to touch the x-axis at all. Right, now let's sketch this. So I know that, okay, I'm facing up. I'm facing down, right? And then my turning point is on the right. So on the right, it's either I'm in this quadrant or this ones. Remember, they are on the right of this line, right? It's either here or there. But because I know that if I'm here, I'm going to go something like this, right? Which means I'll touch the x-axis if I'm in the first quadrant. So I know I have to definitely be in this quadrant then. So my turning point will be somewhere there. And then I know that I'm going down like that, right? So my parabola will look something like this. I'm not touching the x-axis. So remember, A tells me down, B tells me right. So I also had an option here. But if let's say I put it here, you see, I was going to have maybe something like this, which is not true because we cannot touch the x-axis. So it must be this one. I'm sure that makes sense. Okay, perfect. So the solution will be in this part. Good. Now, before we proceed, I'm going to erase everything and we're going to discuss the effects of letters on the turning point form. Okay. Okay, ladies and gents. So in the turning point form, right? Remember the turning point form is y equals to a x minus p squared, plus p squared, then that, right? Sharp. So let's talk about Q, né? Q and P tells us about the turning point, né? So they tell us about the TP, né? If Q is positive, né? It means we're turning up, né? If Q is negative, it means we're below zero, we're below the x-axis, so we're down, né? So if Q is positive, it means we're either here or there. And if it's negative, it's either we here or there. Make sense? Sure. Now, let's talk about P. We need to focus here. Né? We need to focus. So P, right? If it's positive, né? P acts like B. Né? We going to turn on the, if it's positive, we're going to turn on the left. Né? Remember, positive, it's left, right? If P it's negative, we're turning on the right. Né? So P and B acts the same. P and B acts the same. Né? And then Q and C also acts the same. I'm sure you are seeing that now. So Q acts like C, P acts like B on the previous one. And then A is still the same. Né? If A is positive, we up. If A is negative, we down. Okay. Now let's answer D. D, I see, okay, here they didn't put anything. It means my A is 1 then, right? If my A is 1, then it means I'm going to be facing up, right? Already I know that I'm facing up because my A is positive 1. Okay, good. And then P is negative. So I'm on the left. So I'm turning on the left. And Q is also negative. So basically, oh, sorry. If P, remember, I made a mistake here. If P is negative, we're on the right? If P is negative, we're on the right. If Q is negative, we're down, right? And then they're telling you that the x-intercepts have 2 different signs. Okay, we're going to talk about that. 2 different signs means one of your x-intercepts is here and the other one is that side. Ne? Sharp. So now let's see. This part here, ne? So right and down, right? Right and down. So right is either here and then down is there. Do you see? Because right is this. This is right up. This is right down. So I know that, okay, my turning point is going to be in this quadrant, right? So I put my TP there. Good. And then they said x-intercepts have different signs. So one of them, I'll put it there. And then the other one there, right? Sharp. You must try to make them equidistant from the turning point. No? You are just rough sketching, remember. You don't have to be exact. No? Just a rough sketch is fine. Then we're facing up there. So you're just going to do, and then that's your parabola for D. Now let's go to E. Okay, E, they say A, it's negative. So A being negative, I know I'm facing down, right? P negative, so I'm on the right here. Q positive, I'm up. And then 1 root is 0. So a root is just x-intercept. Ne? If you hear the word root, it just means x-intercept. So these two are the same. Ne? Perfect. Sharp. So I'm going to plot this. Let's check right and up. Ne? Right and up is here. Remember, right is this part, and then up is in this one. So right and up is here. So my thing is gonna be there, my TP, right? Then they said one of the root is 0. So one of the x-intercept is gonna be here, right? Which means the other one, since we're facing down, the other one must be this side, right? Then my parabola is gonna look something like this. Since I'm using a touchpad, my drawings are not that accurate. But if you are using a pen and page, you must be able to sketch nice curves, right? Perfect. Okay, let's do the last one. So the last one, ladies and gents, tells us that, okay, A is positive, so we're facing up because A is positive. If P is equals to 0, it's like the case where B was 0, ne? We're basically turning on the y-axis. We're turning on the y-axis, ne? Sharp. And then this one, the discriminant tells us that it's positive, ne? So if it's positive, it means you have 2 x-intercepts. You have 2 x-intercepts, ne? Perfect. So this one, let's discuss the turning point first, ne? This. I have 2 options. I can put my turning point here or there because they didn't give me Q. But I know that the graph is going up, ne? So I'm going to take it up for both. So the graph is going up and the graph is going up, right? From A. And then this part here tells me that my roots are going to be real. So I must touch the x-axis. So the graph that touches the x-axis is the true one, which is this one. Do you see it? So this one is going to be cancelled then. And that's finito for this question, ladies and gents. If you found this really helpful, please do likewise and hit the subscription button. And don't forget to also share with family and friends. Aluta continua. Tango.